Hey, if you're thinking about moving to San Diego and you want to know what does it cost to live in America's finest city, then in this video, I'm going to take you through all of the most important details on the cost of living, from your rents to your expenses, gasoline, groceries, you name it. And so you get a really strong idea and an updated idea of what it is that you need to budget for and prepare for if you're going to make the move to San Diego, or if you're planning on staying in San Diego in the years to come. So if that's what you're looking for, stick with me. We're going to get after it right now. So let's start with a big one that we all want to know right out of the gate. What is the median home price, especially for a single family home in San Diego County? Believe it or not, we are now pushing up on $1 million. Now there's different sources reporting different numbers, so it's kind of a goofy thing. We've found sources, credible news sources, reporting $970,000, and also credible news sources reporting $1 million for a single family home. In any case, small difference between the two. The reality is we're pushing up on that $1 million number for a median price single family home in San Diego County. Now, San Diego County includes places like La Jolla and Del Mar, Solana Beach, and just expensive coastal locations. And by the way, Coronado. So if we eliminate those and just talk about San Diego itself, we are still now north of $900,000 for a single family home. What can you expect if you're looking across the entire county for a condo? Well, there you could be closer to the $660,000 range on a median price condo. So prices are up in San Diego County, and it's just simply a reality of the fact that when they talk about the sunshine tax and the expense of owning, it is the real deal. Now, something that is overlooked and a positive for us here locally, not talked about enough, is we can go to places across the country, say Florida, Texas, New Jersey. There are several states out there that have much higher property taxes. Our property taxes in San Diego and, of course, across California, protected by law not to be able to increase by any more than 2% on a yearly basis. And so what happens is when you get these big appreciation years, you still have property in San Diego County that has been owned for some time that is taxed well below its value. And if you are purchasing, you could expect about a 1% tax rate, and there might be some small adjustments above that 1% depending on the specific location. Is there something we call Mello-Roos? Mello-Roos is a bond essentially that was taken out to develop new communities and can increase that tax rate by, depending on the neighborhood, anywhere from, say, 0.1%, even upwards of 1/4% if you have Mello-Roos. And then there's some additional specific, city-specific within the county, small little bumps. So in reality, your property tax could be anywhere as low as 1%, but it could be 1.25%, 1.5%, but not touching the 3% and 4% rates that you can find in other big states in this country. So from that perspective, it definitely helps with the affordability and to be able to pay for these much more expensive properties that we tend to have in San Diego and, of course, in California. Now, in a moment, we're going to look at average rents. But before I do, I just want to remind you, I'm Dan Beer with Beer Home Team, eXp Realty. This is the thing to do. Go and subscribe to this channel. I'm sharing information like this on a regular basis, also touring you through neighborhoods so you see exactly what they look like, and sharing with you all the amenities so that you understand exactly where you want to be, don't want to be, and what's for you in San Diego County. So go subscribe to the channel, tap that bell for notifications. And it's every single day that people just like you are reaching out by text, email, phone calls. We set up Zooms as well. And I answer all questions personally that you drop in the comments here. So head to the comments in the description. You can find easy ways to get a hold of me. And I look forward to helping you make that smooth move in San Diego. Let's move on to average rents. All right, coming back to the rental market. If you want a median priced 3-bedroom single family home, right now that's going to be $4,500 is the median rent if that's what you're looking for. So it's a hefty number, no doubt about it. Here's the good news. That's down $450 from a year ago. What's happening is all of that government stimulus that came, people were happy to pay the higher rents, more rents, and that, of course, is gone now. Most people have spent it, and they're back to using their credit cards. And so anyhow, what's happening now is we see a reduction of $450. Still, that median rent is at $4,500. That's not something that anybody can afford. And so what you see is people sharing homes. You see a lot of, definitely dual income families, and that's how they make it happen. How many homes are available? 3-bedroom properties. Currently, as of the time of this taping, 338, and that's across all of San Diego. So not a lot, and that's part of what's driving these high rents is there just is not a lot available to rent. So 338 homes that are 3 bedrooms across the county for rent right now. Now, if you want a 1-bedroom apartment or condo, now your rent is going to be about $2,450. So still more than in most parts of the country, but that is down $221 from a year ago. Having said that, it's still 85% more than the median rent for the same property nationwide on a nation median basis. So there's going to be a reality too. Is just simply a higher cost of real estate in San Diego County. Now, having said that, if you're an owner, and let's talk about this really quickly. If you're an owner or a renter, if you're an owner, that is where a lot of the wealth comes from. It is that your property is appreciating at such a rapid value that if you just need to get in the game. Most people make the mistake of not purchasing because they're waiting for the right property. But the reality is, in California, in a market like San Diego, get in the game, become an owner. Once you are, you're going to start riding the appreciation wave, and you will be able to trade up into different properties much more easily than if you're always waiting to save for that property, because the easiest way to save in this county is to have the equity growth do it for you. If you're renting, just recognize that you are paying a mortgage. You are paying a mortgage just like any owner. You are paying property taxes, you are paying insurance, you are paying maintenance, and you, of course, are paying the owner's profit. So everybody's paying a mortgage. It's just that you're paying your own or you're paying somebody else's. All right, jumping over to another expense that you have to take into account wherever you're going to live, sales tax. Sales tax here in San Diego County, 7.75% sales tax. So something to factor into your budgets. Though, of course, all of it offset by median household income. Here is a place where in San Diego, we tend to have higher household income than, of course, the national median. We will discuss in a moment how that does not quite stack up to other big cities. LA is going to out-earn us. San Francisco is going to out-earn us. New York's going to out-earn us. But compared to the national median, we're doing quite well. $119,000 is the median household income. So make sure you heard me say household, because so many households having 2 income earners. And so that is the combined income of the 2. But in any case, when you have that north of $100,000 median household income, it certainly helps with the rent costs, with the property costs. And of course, if you look at, just to make a quick mention, the property payment costs as an owner versus the rent costs, they are not dramatically different. What is different is that you just simply have to save your way into that initial down payment. But most people miss the fact that you can get into a property with 3% down, with 5% down, with 10% down, all kinds of different programs, including some government assistance programs, while it is not true, that thing that people get stuck in their head that everybody needs 20% down. Well, not at all. In fact, if you're VA, okay, so if you are current, past, active, military, you can be in with as little as 0% down. So make sure you do that. It is the easiest, most ridiculous wealth building tool that you are given as a military member. So always good to see you take advantage of that. But coming back to the point that I want to make is you're going to pay a mortgage either way, whether it's through rent or through the actual mortgage payment. Rent would be paying someone else's mortgage. And the factor of just getting in is that down payment, but the down payment is not as high. The requirements for that first it's not as high as most people think, so make sure you ask. Now here's some good news for San Diegans. Average utility cost, $223, which is about 13% lower than the average cost across the state. So doing well there. Now, it's important to recognize that on a per watt basis, right? Or for the amount of gas you're using, all those things. It is more here than in most parts of the country, even if we stack well against the state. But across the country, it is still more here on a unit basis. But here's the good news. We have the world's most amazing weather. So we are not burning to death in the summer like you might be in Arizona, in Texas, in Florida, in most of this country, frankly. You are not just burning up and using that AC all day, all night. We tend to use our utilities, especially as it relates to heating and cooling, a lot less Because on the flip side, let's go to winter. We clearly are not Minnesota. We are clearly not Montana, Idaho, North Dakota, you name it, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, or Philadelphia, that's not a state, but Pennsylvania. And I can keep going on and on across most of the entire country. Again, you are going to need that heat in the winter, and not so in San Diego. So in San Diego, the reason that we have lower utility costs versus the state, and definitely stack nicely against the country on a dollars spent per month basis, okay, not a units basis, is we just don't need to use it as much because we've already paid for it in that sunshine tax in our real estate. So something good comes with it. We get lower expenses with utilities. Now let's top this off with groceries and gas prices. Groceries, you could expect to spend about $250, $300, maybe upwards of $400 a month on average, though of course that depends on you. How do you live? You might be spending more or less, but that's kind of in our research, is kind of a sweet spot in terms of what you could budget for, and then just adjust up or down knowing who you are and your eating habits, cooking habits, etc. And gas prices, we definitely suffer from very high gas prices in California across the entire state, San Diego being no exception. We're north of $5 a gallon as of the time of this taping. Not long ago, north of $6 a gallon. And so we just simply have very high taxes on gas that is imported into California, and it's just a reality that we live with, and we are definitely a driving state. Okay, so most areas across California, definitely in San Diego, you can expect, look, you need a car if you're going to live here, and you're going to be doing some degree of driving. Can you limit it? Yes. Do I know people where there's one car in a 2 or 3 or 4 person household? Absolutely. And it depends on, they might live near work. There might be someone who stays home, takes care of the kids. They can get away with one vehicle. But in any case, do I know anybody that doesn't have a vehicle at all? No. So this isn't New York City in that respect. It's not San Francisco. You're going to need a car if you're going to be here, and gas is going to be a little bit more. Now let's finish this off with the most important reason, which is, gosh, with all these costs, why do people live here? Here's why. Because we get to do something. In that embedded cost, we get to live our life 365 days a year, how we want, where we want, inside, outside, climbing, skiing, surfing. We get to do it all, and it is simply baked in. There's so many times, I can't tell you how many times I might be out, say, on a bluff over the ocean, or hiking a beautiful trail, or taking a walk along the beach, visiting, just sitting literally in a park, laying on a canyon, and I look out and I say, there's literally no better way to experience this. Meaning, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, or anyone of that sort, right? Jeff Bezos. They cannot experience this moment any better. It is some of the most beautiful sights, some of the most beautiful views, and you get to enjoy them 365 days a year. The mountains, the canyons, the cliffs, the ocean, and there's so much variety that you never would get bored with. And so I have to say, in terms of what does that cost, that is, not to use a cliche, it is genuinely priceless. It is just a beautiful thing to be able to be. You could have someone earning X and someone earning 10 times what they earn, but the way they get to experience the beauty of just everyday life in San Diego County is exactly the same. And so in that respect, I believe every one of us is rich in experience, rich in environment, and we love to be here. And we could not be prouder to be San Diegans. If you have any questions about San Diego, drop them in the comments. Go to the first comment also yourself, where I've pinned easy ways for you to communicate with me. And I look forward to helping you make that smooth move to San Diego. Make sure you subscribe, tap that bell for notifications. We'll see you on the next video.